All right, so who here has heard of liquid staking before? Quick poll. Oh, fair show of hands, that's okay. So, quick primer on liquid staking and what it is. It's a tokenized version of your staked assets. In the case of Livepeer, your staked Livepeer tokens. Why is it used? Your stake, it generates rewards, hopefully, if you run your node well or you are staked toward a good orchestrator. But your stake is locked. You can't really use it anywhere. Right. So what does liquid staking provide? It provides utility for staked assets. The coolest use case would be to collateralize or borrow your stake. So you can do things like auto-repayable loans. You can do things like leverage staking. You have access to instant liquidity, so no more unbonding periods. And you're able to provide liquidity rather than having to choose between staking or providing liquidity. And there's other cool DeFi integrations you can do. So one thing we're planning on doing is working with the data index guys. They have an index for Web3 assets, and we're gonna make their index productive and earn yield on their treasury. All right, let's go. So one thing it provides, this utility, is that you can connect your stake with DeFi. And you can create better capital efficiency for your stake. Currently, it's really hard as a node operator or as a delegator. As a node operator in Livepeer, you have to acquire the hardware, acquire the GPUs if you don't already have them. You need some LPT staked to your node so that you can actually run the orchestrator. This is kind of hard because you have to invest in both. As a delegator, you have to lock up your stake and you can't use it elsewhere, like I already mentioned. So it's kind of hard. You have to make this choice between staking your LPT or investing your assets somewhere else. So with liquid staking and Tenderize, you can make your stake work for you. As an orchestrator, for example, you can collateralize your stake and you can capitalize on your cash flows, the staking rewards that you earn or the fees that you earn from transcoding. And you can use this as collateral, so you don't have to sell your stake, but you can use the collateralized assets to buy more GPUs, expand your services, maybe hire a DevOps engineer if you're still doing things all bare metal. All right, next slide. And there's just generally more liquidity in the markets because you don't have to choose between staking your assets, staking your LPT, and providing liquidity. Like the tender derivatives that we have, the liquid staked assets, they can go into liquidity pools as well, and people would have like a seamless entry into staked assets that already exist. So what is our mission with Tenderize? We want to connect Web3 with DeFi. We have a big focus on infrastructure protocols like Livepeer, like the Graph. Because we think if you build a Web3 application, like you would use many of these protocols in combination with one another. So they work in synergy. And we want to unlock the power of staked assets because it's really hard right now to kind of use your stake. It's a hard choice whether you're going to stake or invest in another protocol. There's many opportunities these days for people to lock tokens into. But more importantly, we want to create composable building blocks that anyone can use so that they can build utility for their staked assets as well. So one of the things we want to do is do things like standardized liquid staking vaults. We want to build composable building blocks so you can collateralize your stake, use it in several lending protocols or other DeFi protocols. So what's next for Tenderize is we just concluded our testnet, and we're going to launch our liquid staking pools on mainnet, hopefully by the end of the month. So what are liquid staking pools? It's the general concept of liquid staking whereby stake is allocated by the liquid staking protocol towards one or many different node operators. This is a good start, and this is how many of the liquid staking protocols work today. But our grander vision for Tenderize is to build permissionless liquid staking. And what I mean by that is that any orchestrator or any node operator on another network can have its own liquid staking derivative. Because the problem currently with the pools is that if, let's say, Titan node wants to collateralize his LPT, it's hard for him if he isn't selected in that pool of nodes that the stake is allocated to. He can't collateralize it without losing the work that is generated from his stake. But with permissionless liquid staking assets like Titan node could collateralize his own stake from his own node. His delegators could do the same, and he can buy more GPUs, hire more people, set up a bigger pool. So that's kind of our bigger vision for Tenderize. This is going to be a very short talk, so I'm already at the last slide. So there is one more slide. So thanks for watching. You can find us on tenderize.me, follow us on Twitter, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those. Yes.
So, like, what would the liquid staking mean to like the APR and APY? Hi. So, what would the liquid staking mean to the APR and APY, as staking basically decreases the circulating supply, right?
Well, it increases the supply if you the staking rewards. So I'm not sure what the question is exactly.
Okay, so basically what I mean is once tokens are staked, it basically decreases the supply, which kind of helps to stabilize the price in general, right? Once it's liquid again, it basically decouples from being like it gets liquid, while the tokens being illiquid basically helps the price to be sustainable in the long term. So what would the what's the right word? Yeah, what's the economics like? What's the long-term like effect on the price?
Right. So even though if the assets are staked through a liquid staking protocol, they are still locked in the underlying protocol, and in this case it would be Livepeer. And you could also make the argument for the other case that it provides more price stability, because instead of having these, in the case of Livepeer, 50% of the tokens being locked up in a smart contract purely for staking, you could actually provide liquidity with it, and that could provide more price stability because there can be more depth in the market. So you have things like less slippage, easier entrance into the market. So yeah, I think it could provide benefits in that sense. It's not necessarily that if you suddenly you don't overload that supply onto the market. It's already there, but now it's just like providing more utility for everyone in the ecosystem. Yes, Chris.
I'm interested to know, like, practically speaking, thank you, Tyson, a little bit. Practically speaking, so I'm excited to see Tenderize launch, but what I just want to make sure I understand it right. Like, so I have some LPT in my wallet. I can deposit these somewhere, and I get some TLPT back. And you kind of deal with the rest of it, and I have these TLPT, they're in my wallet again, and I can use that to borrow against something like this. Is that like broadly speaking?
Yeah, that's broadly speaking correct. Yes.
Like if so, my mother might have some Livepeer tokens. She's going to be able to just go connect wallet, deposit Livepeer tokens, get TLPT out. Is that like kind of where you're headed a little bit?
Yes and no. It's the way we're headed for the liquid staking pools, cool. Which is indeed like deposit, and you can kind of forget about it.
Wow.
And it's like delegated towards a couple of nodes that are like picked by a DAO or something. With the permissionless derivatives, not so much the case. You can still pick the node, but you can easily build the pools on top of that by just holding different tokens from different validators.
Right.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
There can be that easy entrance for like people that just want to stake, but there's also that added layer of utility with the permissionless derivatives that you can collateralize it, your own specific stake to your node as well.
And I have another question,
Sure.
if I can have a second one. So as we all know, if you stake Livepeer tokens, there's two income streams that come back. One is Livepeer rewards, the other one is fees in ETH. Do you accrue both Livepeer and ETH if you stake, or does it get converted with some magic internet money stuff into something more simple?
Yeah, it's the latter. So any ETH that's earned is actually converted into LPT. So everything you own is becoming LPT. So that also makes it kind of easy because you only have one token to worry about. And you can choose whether that accrues towards your LPT balance, or you can like maybe sell a little bit of that or collateralize it if you need some money on hand. But yeah, you can basically get all of it in LPT, which is what we want, right?
Oh, we have another question over here.
Let's do Frank first. Alex first, sorry.
Do you have any like novel mechanisms for controlling downside risk in the assets that you're collateral? Say I have TLPT. What are the guarantees that say the price of LPT spikes and then there's a lot of movement? Like, are there any mechanisms in place that'll limit my risk with like the asset that I'm collateralizing with you?
Yeah, so the way that our derivatives work is that they're like a one-to-one representation. So one tender LPT, for example, will always trade equal to one LPT, and we've implemented our own stable swap pool for that, which works with liquid staking derivatives. And also, if there's like staking rewards being earned and there's more LPT coming in, the supply of the derivative will automatically match what's staked. So your balance as a user automatically increases as you earn rewards, or decreases in case like your node got slashed. But that's not currently in Livepeer, luckily, so no need to worry about that. If that answers your question, I hope. Yeah, okay, cool.
Is there? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
All right, cheers.
Any other questions?
We actually haven't seen anything yet because we're not like live, but it's the conversations we've had with people is that they would love to be able to collateralize their stake or provide liquidity. I think collateralizing it is probably the most useful thing because you get access to a pool of money that you can use to do things while still retaining your ownership of the LPT, so you don't have to sacrifice your stake to be able to do stuff to increase your value for the network and also grow the network you're operating on. Yes, other questions in the back.
Hunter, I'll get you here.
You guys are making up for my very short presentation. Thank you.
So I'm curious how you approach allocation to different nodes with these pools. Because Chris pointed out that there are two different income streams, so that's one component, how fee and reward cuts are set. But more generally, the protocol incentives are structured such that a self-interested delegator is ideally choosing nodes that are contributing to the health and reliability and robustness of the network. So how do you approach that as sort of a central allocator of stake?
Yeah, good question. On the one hand, we will kind of want to incentivize, obviously, good behavior. So actually, that the stake is going by DAO governance to good node operators that are performing well. I think the hard part here is surfacing data that could help inform decisions for governance participants. So one thing we're looking at very much is being able to provide that data to our community members and participants. There's a couple of projects that are working on this to surface data from node operators on various networks, so definitely something we're looking into for the future. With the permissionless derivatives, that's less of an issue, and anyone can really build their own pool as they see fit through something like set protocol, which allows you to build an index out of many different tokens. So anyone can kind of build their own pool and like operate it by their own sort of decision.
Thank you.
There we go. We have a question over here. I saw someone with their hand up. No? No? Good.
I think we're good. All right.
Cool. One last question. Do you support other tokens other than Livepeer?
Yes, good question. So the second slide might have shown some other tokens. So what we'll launch with initially is Livepeer tokens, the graph and Polygon support. And audio support will follow like a week or two after that, because we're still doing some things for that. But those are the 4 initial tokens we'll launch support for. So yeah, looking forward to it. One more question from Chris.
I want to know why it's spelled Tenderize instead, not Tenderize with an S.
Good question. Well, I guess even though we're incorporated in the UK, we use US English. So
Oh, God, you're US English. Okay.
sorry, Chris.
One last one.
Oh, we have one last question from Salim.
Are there any ways to like propose a coin to be introduced as a pair to your platform?
Currently not, because like we still have to build integrations for that to work with Tenderize. So we kind of try and see what are valuable protocols that provide Web3 infrastructure services like the Graph, like Livepeer. So while we're definitely looking for other projects to integrate, it's not that by itself will not be a permissionless thing, but will still be something that will be decided by the core team. Of course, in the future, if there's more teams building on top of Tenderize and they want to add support for a token and they have built the integrations, then it could go by vote of a DAO, for example. Yeah. All right, if that was it, I will thank everyone and thanks for the questions.